So this video is for participating in workplace communications. So effectively, the whole idea of this module is to partake in a meeting portraying all of the relevant qualities, including active listening, communication, focusing on problem resolution, as well as finding immediate solutions to potential problems that may arise. So the whole idea of a good meeting is to assure that an agenda is taken place and to make sure that everyone is present starting the meeting on time. So punctuality is extremely important in this specific scenario. So basically, once the meeting time has been organized and people gather at the appropriate time, it is important to have the practice manager, or whoever the supervisor, or whoever is taking the meeting, it'd be very clear that they are the one who is going to be moving the direction of the meeting, so whereby everyone can cohesively communicate and deal with the appropriate person who's going to make the appropriate decisions. So listening and interpreting any form of instruction is highly important. So as I said before, actively listening and asking the relevant questions when there's a misunderstanding in order to completely interpret the instructions correctly is important. And writing down any of the relevant information individually or in a group kind of format will allow for a written reminder of exactly what needs to be taking place, so that there's no forgetting or misunderstandings. So again, communication is highly important. If one is having issues, identifying where the problem is and communicating the appropriate solutions is also going to be part of that. So again, writing legibly and writing everything down so everyone can read it is really important, so people don't have to double up with questions in the future if something's been written down in order to make a clarification. This can either be done written manually or electronically. It doesn't really matter as long as it's printed out if need be to be referenced again in the future. The supervisor or the workplace practice manager, again, will be no doubt the one taking notes and reporting this information down. So it's up to the practice manager to create the proper procedures in order for meetings to progress in relation to action post the meeting. So again, expressing opinions clearly is important. Listening and interpreting the appropriate information is important. Interacting and asking inappropriate questions, and when one doesn't understand, is also important. And once the meeting has ended, listing this down is also going to be a good reference for people in the future, for the staff in the future rather. So once towards the end of the meeting, it's highly suggested that someone or the practice manager creates an action plan, so a list of things post-meeting that has been established at the meeting that's going to take place. So ending with an action plan is extremely important, so there's a clear pathway that's going to be taken in order to deal with certain problems that arise. So what else is there? So yeah, so people knowing what their roles are in a meeting and working within those roles in order to maintain a structure is important. Depending on the meeting, of course, there's a number of subjects that can come up. Anything that any staff have issues with, they can then communicate with the practice manager, and a meeting can either be established in order to deal with them immediately or brought up in the next meeting. There's also a week or a certain amount of time that a practice manager, whomever is hosting a meeting, should communicate with their staff members in advance in order to give these members some time to think of some ideas in order to frame their arguments and frame their and discuss their pre-intent ideas in order to make a meeting more fluid and more active. And yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So being in a meeting on time, previously discussing what meetings were necessary, creating an action plan post-meeting, clear communication throughout the meeting, asking relevant questions if there's no understanding, creating direct goals, and that's what we're looking at.